So when you are ready to write something down and you just get out a plain sheet of lined paper, there is a line, as we all know, that is called a margin. And that separates the main part of the paper from the little small part where we generally don't write anything. There is a version of your life that you may have been given over the main part of that page. So that main part of your page can go to your spouse, your kids. It can go to other parts of your family, maybe your job and organization, your personal, church, community organizations, all of the different things that you may be involved in. And the things that are just for you, like your prayers and your vision and your purpose, your expectations, the things that you're hoping for, that expected end, your heart's desires, those things by default, you may have squeezed into the margins of that paper rather than letting them actually have a place on the main part of that paper. And so that is what I want to talk to you about today. I think all of us can agree that to some extent we are all living full lives. And so by every outside measure, that may look good. For some people, they like being busy. And then for others, maybe they prefer not to be as busy. But the thing is, you are showing up because it is what you have to do. Those are your responsibilities. Those are your obligations and your commitments. So you're keeping things together. You're holding your house down, your kids down, you're holding your marriage down, and then, your ministry or some combination of them all. You're doing your best to show up for the people who are actually counting on you. But the thing is, your life is full, but not because of your heart's desires, your vision, your purpose. Your life is full because of other people's needs. So your calendar is full of other people's needs and commitments, and your mental energy is full from other people. Even your rest sometimes is built around what everybody else needs from you for the rest of the day. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, you got pushed to the edge of your own life. One yes led to another yes, and one season of carrying something and then another. And then slowly the center of your life stopped being you and what God put in you. And it just became everybody and everything that was depending on you. It happens to women like us. You've just learned over time that the more you hold, the more you carry, the more that you can do, you feel like you are more of that person. Sometimes we want to be more of a wife or more of a mother, and we usually translate that into doing more. But being capable of holding everything is not the same as being called to hold everything. The things that are just for you, your vision, your own prayer life, your expectations for what God is doing in you and through your life specifically, those things do still exist. You talk about them sometimes and you write them down when you have time, but that is the issue right there. It's when you have time. And this is what has caused many of you to put your purpose and your vision in the margins of your story rather than that being actually a part of your story. And so we have given the most important parts of our life over to the margins, your vision and your purpose, your heart's desires, the calling, what God has placed on the inside of you, those gifts and talents, all of those things are just laying in the margins of that piece of paper. For some, it can look like prayer happening in the margins of your life. You dream in the margins, you expect in the margins, you sit with God in the margins and make plans for your future in the margins. And then what happens is you get frustrated because maybe things aren't going the way you wanted them to go. Maybe they're not moving as fast as you want them to move. But a margin-sized container will only produce margin-sized results. Just think, if you keep your vision and your purpose inside the margins of that page, your expectations are only going to be within the margins of that page, when truly you are meant to have an expectation of life to the full and not just a small slither of page when you have this massive size page that God has allowed you to dream on, to write on, and to bring your vision to life on. You cannot grow your vision on a slither of a page. You can't build your life in the leftovers. The margin is not the center stage of your life. The whole page is supposed to be the center stage of your life. I know what it's like to live a life in the margins. I've been there and I have done it. And the sneaky part about it is that while I was doing that, I think subconsciously I was hoping at some point that the margin would move to the right for me. So if you know the margin is on the left side of the page, I was hoping, not realizing that I was actually doing this, but now that I think in hindsight, I was hoping that that margin would just move a little bit to the right of the page so that I could have more time for me. So I could have more time to pray, more time to read, more time to think, more time to do the things that I enjoy, more time to work on the gifts and the callings, more time to write out various curriculums and things that I knew God had called me to do. I was hoping that that margin would just automatically give me space and time to do those things because it was my desire to do those things. But I had to learn that the margin does not move. And no one is going to move the margin for me. I had to make a conscious decision that I was going to take my vision, my purpose, and what I desired for myself out of the margins of that page and put it in the main frame of that page. Where you put your time, that is what grows. Not what you say is important. And you all know that I am really big on speaking affirmations, speaking positively, speaking life over the things that you desire. But we also have to go beyond what we speak because, we can't just speak it and things just automatically happen. It is partly a mindset shift, but then we have to take that mindset shift and then start actually working towards the things that we desire. We have to have faith and we have to have works. So if the only thing you feed consistently is everyone else's life, then it means everyone else's life is going to thrive and everyone else's life is going to have what they need. But I want to ask you about you. What is it that you need? Are you feeding your life with the things that you need? Most of us are not living in the margins on purpose. That is not what you woke up and decided that you were going to do, is that you're not going to focus on your purpose. You're not going to live life to the full today. I don't think any of you woke up and consciously decided that's how you're going to live out your day. But it happens because somewhere along the way, we allowed other things to just take up more space and more time than the time and space that we need for our own lives. So when we say, when I have time, what is actually happening is that phrase is actually protecting you from making a decision. So time is not sitting in a drawer, just waiting for you to pull it out like that special outfit or something that you have been waiting to wear. And it's not waiting for you to find a free hour. Time just has to get made. And so you make time the same way you make a meal, or you make time the same way you decide you're going to declutter or do some type of organizing in your home. We have made time for the school pickups, the doctor's appointments, the birthday parties, the pool parties, the shopping, the vacations, all of the things, the volunteer stuff, the PTO, soccer practice, you name it. We've made time for all of that. Let's not forget the family group chats and stuff. We've made time for all of those things. But for our own vision, for your time in prayer, for your own deep time and deep work with God, we have said, I'll get to it when I have time. But when we only make margin time for our purpose and margin time for prayer, margin time to live and to carry out the things that God has placed on our heart, then the expectation we have for what God is doing in our lives start to shrink to the size of that container we gave it. Habakkuk 2 says to write the vision and make it plain. That is an action. It requires sitting down, making it very plain. Going to sit down and just make time to focus on the vision. That requires space. It requires time. What are you doing daily to make sure that you don't default to the margin of life? And that's why Purpose and Plans is so passionate for me is because it's not just about planning. You got to put purpose into it, and there has to be action. And just the same way you have purpose, you have to plan those things out. It's not just something that we say and talk about frivolously, but it is something that does require intentional planning and action, understanding your season and understanding what your calling and your gifts are, and bringing that into fruition through the form of planning and having discernment and knowing what you should be focused on at this particular time, how you can take things that have been on the back burner, as you've heard me say before, or take them out of the margin and really bring them to the center with the help of the Holy Spirit, of course, because you can't do this on your own. But when you're making an intentional decision, not the when I have time decision, but the time of I'm going to pull it off of the back burner, or I'm going to take it out of the margin, because no one is going to bring your purpose forward for you. No one is going to move the margin to the right for you. It's just a decision that has to be made, that there's going to be something different that you are going to do, whether it's today or whenever that time is you decide. But there is just an intentional decision that has to be made so that you are no longer living in the margin. You may get short with people you love over things that they really do not deserve. You may be tired in a way and the sleep is not fixing it, or you get irritated at a particular schedule or at the phone, or everybody who keeps needing something from you. And we have decided that the frustration is about them. It's about the noise. It's about the demand. It's about the schedule. It's about everything and everyone else around you, when actually it's not about them at all. The frustration is not the calendar. The frustration is not the schedule, although it feels like it, but that is not the root of the frustration. Romans 8 says that the whole creation has been groaning, and that we ourselves groan inwardly. There is something in us that was made to ache for God. That aching, that longing, that need that God put in us to desire Him, we keep handing it to the margin time instead of the main page time. And it does not go quiet. It just changes what it sounds like. So it starts sounding like frustration. It starts sounding like blame, where you may blame your spouse for something, or you blame your kids for something, or you're blaming your boss or someone, a coworker on the job for something. It's the calendar, and you're trying to fix it by reorganizing the calendar. You try to fix it and control it by thinking you need to get your notes app organized, or you need to go build out this massive, beautifully, overly designed Notion page or dashboard, or you think maybe by getting a new planner or taking a weekend or just doing something, trying to fix something when it actually isn't working, because none of that is the actual solution to the problem. The actual thing is that our spirit is groaning for time with God. Our purpose, our vision, our gifts, our calling is groaning to come out of the margin. That groaning sounds like frustration and blame, but we have been called to not live in the margin. We have been called to live a life to the full, a life of abundance. And there is no abundance inside the margin. The abundance is on the main part of the page. So what if the vision, the prayer, the expectation, what if those became the main text of your life and everything else found its place around them? Not if you just woke up at 4 a.m. I'm not saying that you have to get up early or try to squeeze things in before the day swallows you up, because sometimes those things are just not truly sustainable. But what if you just allowed your purpose, your vision, your prayer, and your expectation to become the main thing, and everyone else's needs, you find space for them around that? It's not to say that you don't keep up with your responsibilities. I'm not saying that those responsibilities go away. I'm not saying that the demands will get lighter. I'm just asking you to think differently about it. It's not a commitment. I'm not asking you to make a commitment or a decision today, but I am asking you to just ask yourself, what if you did plan differently? What if you did think differently? What if you did dream differently, and desire differently for yourself. The center of your life does not have to be other people. Yes, there are other people that you have to help and focus on and deal with and work with, but the center of your life, the true center of your life, is God and you. And from that center, that's where you serve from. That's where you give from. From that center, you're able to mother. From that center of you and God, you're able to be that wife. From that place, that center where it's you and God, then you're able to do the work and show up for others, whether in ministry or church or organization. It's from that place versus everyone else is in the center. And that person is showing up. And it's the person who's frustrated. It's the person who's tired. It's the person who's exhausted. It's the person who doesn't ever have time for herself. It's the person who doesn't like the way she dresses. It's the person who's complaining about her hair. It's the person who feels like she never has a chance to do anything for herself. That's the person who's showing up because everything else is in the center. But when you take that, make it different, and put you and God in the center, and you show up from that place, everything else can fall in line. So just think, Jesus did this. He withdrew. He went to the mountain. He went away by himself. The needs did not stop. The crowd did not get smaller. The people did not stop being sick. They did not stop being hungry. They did not stop getting ill. They did not stop grieving. But he still withdrew anyway, because he understood that what he had to give to the crowd had to come from somewhere. And what he needed wasn't going to come from the crowd. What he needed had to come from God. And so if he needed that, you need it too. Not as a margin, not as an afterthought, not as on the back burner, something that's secondary, but the main thing, the main text. So what I want you to do is to look at your week. Where is the main text of your time going? The main stage of your purpose and vision. Where is that time going? Who and what is getting the bulk of you? Where is your own vision in the midst of all of this? Where is the thing that God put in you to do? Where is it showing up in your planner, on your calendar? Are they showing up? You just have to be honest about where you have been living. We don't want to live a life that's secondary, an afterthought, in the margin. You have to be honest about where you have been living. And then you have to give the thing that matters most one piece of real space on that paper, on that page. And it can't be in the margins. And that will look different for many of you. For some, it could be an hour, maybe 45 minutes. Maybe it's in the morning. Maybe it's on a Saturday where the only thing on the page is you and God and the vision he has been trying to give you while you have been answering everybody else's. Maybe that's where you start. Only you can determine that. You were not put here to live a life in the margins of your own life. And you were not given a vision so it could die in the white space at the edge or on the corner of a page. You were meant to write it and to make it plain, so that those who read it can run with it. They can take action. They can plan with purpose. They can show up each and every day and do something, no matter how small it is, but it becomes a part of the main part of their life, not a margin part of your life. Your vision, your purpose is worth and deserves the main page, not the margin. And so as you've listened to this, I hope something landed with you today. And if so, take some time to write that thing down. Take some time to write down your thoughts and maybe think about how you have been living. What is your planner showing you? Where have you been operating in the margins versus in the main pages of your life? Please remember to subscribe to the channel, like, and leave a comment if anything resonated with you. And as always, remember, live full and live faithful.